All right. Welcome back to IC Topic Chats. Today is October 8th, 2020. Joining you today from Edwardsville, Illinois, of course, as usual. We've got Max the dog is here today with me. He's chilling in the chair over there. We're going to be talking about evolving your niche. So what is a niche? We kind of covered this in the past. Niche is kind of like identifying who you are, what you want to do, who you want to serve, focusing on who you want to work with, and more importantly, and most importantly, who you do not want to work with, what you should not be doing. As we get into this, I've done some workshops in the past, and like almost right after I get through the who does this stuff kind of piece of the workshop, I always get into the hedgehog concept as a way of referencing niche. And so the hedgehog concept is something that Jim Collins wrote about in his book, Good to Great. And it's this idea of you want to be a hedgehog and not a fox. And the reference of the hedgehog and the fox is from an essay from a philosopher, Isaiah Berlin. And Isaiah Berlin talked about how the hedgehog is slow and purposeful and focused, and the fox jumps all over the place. When this comes to running your business, what you want to do is know what you want to do. And you want to be focused on it without getting diverted by shiny objects that will move you around and have you caused to do different things. And so, as the reference from a Greek poet goes, the fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. And so the one big thing for you is your niche. It's that focus on what you want to do. And so this just for reference is something that I've covered before. But the hedgehog concept, as Jim Collins explains it and goes into detail, is this overlap of three circles about what you're passionate about, what you're really good at, and what drives your economic engines. This is like the core first thing we talk about with the independent consulting introductory courses. Trying to find that center where all those things overlaps. What are you passionate about? What do you really like to do? So you don't like doing this, don't do it, right? But beyond that, what are you really good at? And if you're not passionate about something and really good at it, it's not sustainable. And the third thing is, where's the money? What drives your economic engines? So I give references like there's the hopeless art student who's really passionate about something, but they may not be any good. And with that, there may not even be any money in it anyway. But they really love art, but they're not good at it. So that's not sustainable. What drives your, and you've got what I call the history education evaluator. So I'm in education, but there is no history education evaluation anymore. Once upon a time, there was American history grants, and they had lots of them. And it was a nice little gig for some of the people who did it back in the day. But those grants went away. So you could be really passionate about history education. You were good at that program evaluation, but there's nothing in the economic engines there. And then you've got what I call the corporate lawyer. That's somebody who is really good at something and there's lots of money, but they hate it anymore. That's what I call, they have the golden handcuffs because they are now in a situation where they're making lots of money doing something that they just don't care about anymore, but they're really good at it and they have a very specialized skill set. This is also something we talked about from back on May 20th that's covered. So once you've identified this hedgehog concept, and I'm giving you this is all as a background towards what I want to talk about today, you focus on it. And so the idea here is you take this flywheel concept. The flywheel concept is one where you imagine your business as flywheel has something to do with an engine in your car, and I will explain it to me. But frankly, I think I understand Ferris wheels a lot better. So think of a Ferris wheel and imagine just like one of those big ones, like I'm in Illinois, so I think about the one on 80 here. It's really huge. It's one of the largest ones around. And think about whether your job was to spin that Ferris wheel, or in this instance, a flywheel. And by turning that flywheel or that Ferris wheel, that is how you initiate your business. That the spinning of the wheel is symbolic for success of your business. The faster the Ferris wheel goes, the more money you're making, or the more clients you have, or the more, however you want to define it, the more successful you are. So you would focus your attention in one direction. If you focused it in another direction, stopped, then you would not be moving the wheel. It would cause you to do something else. But then as you continue to focus and continue to apply pressure, it will start to go faster and faster. And eventually it will start spinning on its own without your energy. And it'll go faster. Yeah. But, I realize these are all concepts. And so we're supposed to come to this idea of what is your niche? What are you supposed to be doing? But it's not very helpful. So I thought today's lecture today, we'd be thinking about going from the left to the right. We're on the left. I just give you this fuzzy idea. Actually, I need to go find out what I'm good at. And maybe you know it. I think for a lot of us, we don't. Actually, I think even for a lot of us, we kind of do. We see it as in this blurry picture like the left. But it evolves and it changes. Our maybe, to use another reference, our eyesight changes. And we need to change our lenses or whatever. But I'm hoping today to give you some more tangible tools that you can put into place for helping you understand what your niche could and should be, and also some more ideas about how to focus on your niche to grow your business in a way that's sustainable and smart. So I've been reading a lot of Michael Michalowicz's books. Here's one of them. I've got 3 of them. I presented on the Profit First book a couple weeks ago, about a month ago. And I thought that was good. And I thought, well, he's got these other books, I should read them. And I actually like some of his other books better for our purposes. The Profit First book is all about kind of making sure you're covering your finances and you're taking some money and setting it aside so that, you're sustainable this way. I'm reading The Pumpkin Plan, which kind of seems ironic because it is October and we just went to the pumpkin farm. So that's why I threw in that reference at the beginning. We'll cover a couple key ideas at the end of the session today. But anyway, within Michael Michalowicz's ideas, he's talking about how to start up a business. And so the other book he has is called The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. But what I'm thinking here, so this whole idea about finding your niche from the toilet paper entrepreneur is there's probably one big secret finding your niche. You need to be really, really good at very, very little. I mean, honestly, you can be extremely good at a very small thing, and people will seek you out. They'll find you. You will be their go-to person. Now, I'm still doing you a disservice because how do you find what that is? How do you become super, super, super good at this? But that's generally the idea. Try and narrow your niche, be really good at it, and not try and do everything in the world. So particularly for our new independent consultants, I've heard the term agnostic. I'm evaluation agnostic. I can evaluate anything. Well, I think that's a fine way to start. But that is not a fine way to run a business for a long period of time. After a while, you need to find your people. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago in the networking karma session. But you need to be able to focus your attention and really do a fantastic job within your niche, within your small thing, and not keep dancing around with different things. So I started off pretty wide focused, saying I want to be in the education sector in Southwestern Illinois. And I continue to focus that in. And what I found is where I thought my niche should be, and it still, for the most part, is a little bit different. I'm really finding myself connecting with military connected school districts because I've got a special skill set, I've got a special understanding, I've got special connections, and those opportunities keep coming to me. And so we're going to talk about the pumpkin plan in just a second. So Michael Michalowicz talks about his focus 5. And so when you're trying to identify what your niche should be, you need to be thinking about 5 different things. So I call it the TPE Focus 5. So first, with your narrower focus, this gives you an increased ability to be the best, focusing in on whatever that may be. Maybe it's qualitative research within social organizations, within a community near Dallas, which is by our friend. I'm picking on Susan Wolf, who's not here. It's not fair to her, but she didn't show up today. So I get to pick on her. but she's doing qualitative research, and so she's really good at that. So she's been able to narrow her focus. So she is kind of the go-to person, I would imagine. I don't know what people say about her and what's going on in that community, but I would imagine she is the go-to person for this type of program evaluation. She's able to be the best. Plus, a narrower focus is reduced competition. There's not as many people who want to work in that community, who want to do that type of work, because she's focused on those people. She knows those people know her, she is their go-to person. But a narrower focus means there's a smaller customer base. There's fewer people who have need for your services. Plus, a narrower focus means there's lower potential revenue. The smaller customer base directly relates to a lower potential revenue, unless your smaller customer base are all rich, which is fantastic, but that's not always the case. And you need to think about the fact that a narrower focus may mean slower growth. So let's see if this works. Of course, this is on the wrong page. There it is. So we're going to take that all in and just kind of spend some time searching. But what we end up doing is kind of thinking about our focus 5 around a balancing act. On one side, you want to be the best and you want to reduce your competition, but in doing that, you may have a smaller customer base, lower potential revenue, and slower growth. So you want to find a way to actually push more to your left side, so that you can be the best and reduce your competition and minimize the stuff on the right-hand side, the things that take away from what you're trying to do. Again, this is just another way to think about how you identify and narrow your niche, narrow down on your niche. But I can talk to you about my experience. We've realized that the evaluators in the DODEA world, the Department of Defense education activity that provide grants to military connected students, school districts that serve military connected students, their evaluation is kind of old school. They don't have any real evaluators that don't really have a lot of concept or data visualization and dashboarding, and that comes very natural to us. And so we were able to kind of walk in and say, we can do this really not for a lot. It doesn't cost us a lot of time, which is, time is money. So we can do it for probably a lower amount than many and really make a lot of profit off of that. So we can be the best at that, but we can focus in on this small group of school districts that are, there's actually probably 60 to 80 of them around the country. Now, we do have slower growth. There's not as big of a customer base. But we also have looked at this as an opportunity to grow, and we were very fortunate to be able to use that customer base as a new opportunity that we didn't necessarily expect, but it became a new opportunity, which became the new big grant that we talked about. So that's how we were able to focus in on that. I expected to be doing more with my local school districts and thinking about them with regards to STEM and grants, but that kind of dried up in the ways that we originally thought it was going to happen 10 years ago. We're still there. And we've narrowed our focus. We're not trying to serve everybody throughout the state of Illinois anymore. But if people from within my, 10 miles from here call me up, we're going to try and find a way to work with them, because we do want to continue to work regionally. All right, so here's a whole other idea. I'm kind of hesitant to show this to you because I think Anne's going to tear my head off. So I'm not sure she's going to agree with this, but I'm really interested to see when we get to the chat portion what you think about this. McAllowitz, and I agree with him on this, believes that you need to identify one of the 3 areas of innovation for yourself when you're thinking about who you are, what kind of business you're going to run. I'm going to use some broad references, not evaluation, but I'm trying to bring it back to evaluation. So you need to choose whether you're going to be on price, on quality, or convenience. Now, most of us start off just trying to find out how to make it work, right? So we're competing on price. And so we often will say, oh, I know those really hoity-toity evaluators, they charge you $150, $200, $250 an hour. I can do it for $60 an hour. The reality is you're going to end up with way too much work. You're not going to be able to do a great job of it. And over time, you're going to find that it's difficult to keep up with it. So you might be able to do that. And I'm sure there are there are definitely evaluation research institutes out there that compete on price because the the people who need the evaluation really don't want the evaluation. They just need an evaluation. It's like a requirement. I definitely have those clients. It is what it is. There was a certain amount that they have. It's not much. You need an evaluation because it's required. So there are evaluation research institutes and firms that operate completely on that model. Now, a lot of us, and I'd say the majority of the people you're going to meet in an AEA are operating from the perspective of quality. I am an experienced evaluator. I understand your industry. I've been around. You know me. You know me as an author. You know me as an experienced professional within this field. I am the go-to person from the community, but the price is going to be higher. So on the price piece, we're actually talking about the lowest price. So an example might be, going to soda, I suppose. We've got Ann on the line from Atlanta, so we can talk about Coca-Cola. But you'd be talking about like Vest soda, right? The cheapest price or whatever that store brand price soda is. Now in evaluation, we're talking about I've got $3,000 to do this evaluation. What can you do for me? I can give it to my grad student and they can provide something to you that you're never going to read. So that's the price piece. The quality piece is when you start to get into the larger projects, your hourly rates are higher. A lot of us start off maybe on price and we're focusing to get in that piece of quality, and it happens over time. I'm going to suggest if you're a one-person shop, you want to be moving from price towards quality. That quality is where most of our friends in AEA operate. Now, convenience, that's a whole nother world. And I would argue, and this is where I think the chat's going to be interesting today, that anybody who decides they're going to have a shop with more than 2 people are probably starting to work in the way of convenience because they're bringing in the work, they're identifying a process for how they operate. So the most notable example of convenience outside of evaluation is like McDonald's, right? You think that they're competing on price, but they're really not. It's cheaper for you to go to Walmart, pick up hamburgers, buns, and everything, and go home and cook your own hamburgers. They're actually competing on convenience because they're located in locations that are easy to get to. You can drive through and they can hand you your hamburger right away. Now, I actually think my firm, as I've been thinking through it, is moving out of the quality business and into the convenience business. We're keeping an extremely high level of quality. I don't want you to think that we're not doing a fantastic job for our clients. It's in the program evaluation world. We need to be thinking about all the different AEA standards that come along with being part of AEA. But I'm starting to operate more in the way of convenience, meaning I'm thinking of ways to hire staff who can understand my model of how we do program evaluation, and in many ways that they're developing their own models so that we can transition it to more and more staff so that we can grow. So I actually think of this as a continuum, that we're moving from price towards quality, and as you want to grow, you need to be thinking about a convenience model. I am sacrificing quality for convenience. I will be the first one to admit that. I don't think that the quality that I'm sacrificing means my client is really getting that much less. But if you want quality, if you want the best who can be, I'm probably not going to be your best person anyway. I'm now focusing on the ability for me to do a fantastic job for you, and make it and really think about the quality of the work that we're doing through data, dashboarding, and interactive dashboards, and data visualization. And the fact that I've been able to take an idea, pass it to Tom. Tom's now teaching a grad student. We'd love to bring on a third evaluator. We're trying to make that happen. And that evaluator can adopt our model. And then we can continue to spread this idea of who we are as special education consultants. So this is going to seem random, but it's not. Totally aside, so it's October. Last week we went to the pumpkin farm with the kids. The 10-year-old loved it. The 13 and the 15-year-old were going, oh my God, we're a little old for this such a thing. But it was still fun. They still had fun. I won't admit it. But aside from the whole idea that it's October and we're talking about going to the pumpkin farm, so hopefully you get a chance to do that. Michael Michalowicz takes a pumpkin plan and he wrote a whole book about it. He had some sort of like crazy idea that just kind of came to him that pumpkin farmers, particularly the ones who grow the biggest pumpkins, are actually a model for what we should be doing within business. So if you want to grow a giant pumpkin, you first plant the right seeds. You actually go and get these seeds that are specific, very specific. The seed that you get is costs you $1,500 for a seed, one single seed to grow a pumpkin. That's because they're cultivated, and I don't understand how it's done, but it is the best seed you can possibly buy. You water and you fertilize. You actually do several seeds of these very expensive seeds. If you want the best pumpkin, you're competing for this. You water and you fertilize and you do all those other farmer stuff. The frost is coming and you cover it with shoots. You do those things. At a certain point, you remove the diseased and damaged pumpkins so that you can actually let all the nutrients in the water focus in on the best pumpkins. You're weeding. You're not letting anything take away from the growth of your giant pumpkin. At a certain point, you remove all of the less promising pumpkins and you focus completely on the one big pumpkin, right? You're nurturing that one special pumpkin. And then you sit and you watch that pumpkin grow to a giant size. And at the end of the year, you go show off your 500-pound pumpkin or whatever these things weigh. And you are at the fair, and you get a chance, or the county fair, or you go to the show giant pumpkins. But then, in my mind, you need to make sure you socialize with the other pumpkin farmers. That's how you grow a giant pumpkin. Now, let's interpret it for valuation. Number one, where I was talking about the seeds, you need to focus on your strengths. You need to get the skill set. You need to build the internal business that you can do. You need to build, what is that seed for you? You need to involve yourself with professional development. And then you need to focus in on your area of innovation. I talked to you about price, quality, and convenience. Probably focus on, I'm going to say, don't spend a lot of time focusing on being the lowest price evaluator, focusing on your quality, but working within a small niche and growing it out. At a certain point, you're going to have rotten clients. So what I was saying before, you remove the rotten pumpkins so that you can focus in. But at a certain point, you're doing too many things. You're moving all over the place. You're taking care of clients that are not really feeding your bottom line. They actually may be costing you money because you're spending too much time on them. They keep asking for revisions to your reports. So you need to weed them out. You need to move them out. Then you need to be focused in on what your niche is. And this is consistent with what we talk about with the earlier things I was talking about with the niches, that you're focusing in like a groundhog. No, am I having problems? But anyway, you're not dancing around like a fox. You're focused in on what your niche is. So you're at this point now you have a bunch of clients. You've already gotten rid of the rotten clients, but in many ways you still weed out those clients who are not your stellar clients. You focus in totally on your top clients. You get to know them. You become best friends with them. You send them Christmas cards. You get to know, they think you're fantastic and they introduce you to their friends. And guess what? Those are some of your top clients as well. So now you're focused in on what's your one big thing. Now this is evolving, by the way. For me right now, my one big thing is focusing in on military connected kids, what that means. And to the extent we're not even doing program evaluation, we're also doing program implementation. We're focusing in on our one big thing. And then you watch your business grow. And then I put the 0.5 in there. Remember, this is from Gittimer's little black book of selling. It's his idea, the half idea, remembering to connect with others because you're continuing to develop your network. And with that, I'm going to say thanks for listening. I want you to see the books that I referenced here and know that next week, I just heard from her, Amy Gurmuth is going to come on and speak about her chapter from the New Directions for Evaluation journal, the special edition that we did on independent consulting that came out last December 2019. Anyway, so she's going to discuss that. There will be guinea pigs, and there will be an angry cat in her slides. She's promised me that.